Okay, everybody, today I'm going to be building out this closet as you see here. It's very hard to film inside there because it is very tight. I had to take the door off just to not only work inside there, but also just to get the camera angles because it's actually only about 6 by 8 inside here. And so basically what I'm going to do is build all this stuff in my shop, and then I'm going to bring you up in here with me before all the stuff is installed so that you can see how I fit everything inside there and attach it. And I'll do it before I have this side installed because I want to be able to get the camera in that corner so that I can shoot that angle. All right, guys, let's go out there and build some closet built-ins. First thing I'm going to do to get started here is get the 3/4 melamine that I'm working with, or 19 millimeter. I'm going to be building the entire unit in there, or units I should say, because it's a bunch of units, out of melamine. Since it is a closet, melamine's durable and it's not going to be exposed to any moisture or water or anything like that, so we don't have to run the risk of worrying about it swelling up or warping or anything like that. And it's easy to clean. A lot of times when you make built-in closets, shelving and shoe cubbies and things like that, when you put your shoes in there, a lot of times the soles of the shoes will leave a black scuff mark, much like on wooden floors. Sometimes you drag your foot across the floor like a heel or something and it makes a black scuff mark. It's easy to clean off. With melamine, nothing really sticks to it. Okay, so now here we are onto the cutting. The first thing you want to do is establish a straight edge. I never trust a factory edge, so I got the track saw, and what I'm doing is ripping off a straight edge on the factory side so that I can establish my straight edge and measure off of that side. Now I'm oversizing these panels so that I can finish cut them on the table saw. But what you're going to see here is a technique of me clamping the rail in place, oversizing the panel. I'm scoring by pulling the blade back along the melamine. And what I've done is I've only dropped it down less than 1/4 of an inch. And then what I do, I go full depth, and then I can cut in the forward motion, and that leaves you with a chip-free cut, because we all know melamine chips out rather easily. Now again, here I'm cutting the second panel using the scoring technique. Now Festool does have a track saw that has a scoring blade. It would be nice to have right now, but it is out of the budget. But this is just like having a sliding table saw, and you have the scoring blade up ahead of the regular blade. And that's what the function is of that, is to pre-score the material so that it doesn't tear out. You have no idea how great it is for me to be able to roll around this heavy material in my shop without any obstructions and have my table saw back. You know how many years I've been working without a table saw. So here I am at the table saw, cutting to final dimensions for the panels. This is for the width of the panels, not the length. And the whole time I'm cutting these long melamine sheets, all I was wishing was I had this, the GSM stock guides. I recently did a video on those, and they are unbelievable. And unfortunately, they got to me too late. I had already built this whole closet by the time I got those stock guides. And if I would have had them during this video, you would have seen how much of an easier time it would have been to watch me rip these things down. Okay, now over for the tall units, I have to go to the MFT because I have 2 MFTs set up. I can't get the length that I need out of my cross-cutting, sliding part of my table saw because I need the repeatability to use a stop block because they're just about 8 feet tall. So I don't have that capability on the table saw. I only can get about 60 inches, which is about 5 feet. Cross-cutting on the table saw in length. So I'm going to do it here at the MFTs, and I'm going to employ the same scoring method so that I get a tear-free cross-cut on this. And then you'll see later the smaller panels I'm able to cut on the sliding attachment on my table saw. Now when I cut the panels to width on the table saw, when I ripped them down, I was actually leaving them 1 millimeter short of the final dimension. And that's because I'm using a 1 millimeter PVC edge banding on these melamine panels. And this stuff is tough as nails. You can beat the hell out of it and nothing will happen to it. I'm also using one of my favorite tools, and that is the Conturo edge bander. That thing is unbelievable. If you remember a few years ago, before I got this, I used to iron on my edge banding. It felt like it took forever. So here I am trimming it now with the router, and then I'm using the carbide edge scraper that has a 1 millimeter radius, and that puts just the perfect round over after you scrape it off. You don't need to use a file with this. It just takes off any little bit of the extra edge banding. Now I'm using my router with the LR32 system and punching some holes for the adjustable shelf pins. I mean, what's a panel without some holes in it, right? So now I have to cut the shelves for the adjustable shelves in the taller unit of the closet built-ins. And what I'm going to do is use the sliding crosscut part of my table saw And what I'm doing is, you see, I pulled the fence back behind the blade, and so there's no binding there. And I could use the fence as my stop block, and then I could slide the piece through and make my cross cuts. And this is a safe operation because once it passes the short part of the fence, there's nothing there to catch and make it bind. And now I need to cut the shorter panels for the bottom unit, which is also going to house shoes, but it's going to be straight across the bottom, and it'll be like a seat also. Square up one edge, flip the board over, and I can set up the stop block on the cross-cut fence for the sliding attachment. And this is a rather quick operation and gives me repeatability, so very accurate also. Whenever I'm working with melamine, I have to assemble the carcasses. I like to use a combination of dominoes and screws, and that just gives it a lot more strength. We know that we can't use any glue because it won't stick, but we can use glue on the dominoes, and that will actually stick, so give it some more surface. Now, wherever I can use pocket screws to hide any screws that would normally be exposed, I'll just use the Kreg Foreman pocket machine. It just speeds things up for me. It's a lot quicker than doing it by hand with the drill. Okay, so it's time for some assembly here. Just a little dab of glue on each of the dominoes. You don't have to smear any glue on the melamine. It's not going to stick, so don't even waste your time. Just put a little bit on the dominoes if you want. You really don't even have to. You could just use them as kind of like dowels, just alignment tools, and that's it. The screws will hold the rest. It'll be strong enough. So I'm just going to tap it in with the rubber mallet there, and this part here that I'm putting regular screws in is going to be up against the wall, so they'll be completely hidden. I won't have to use pocket screws there. Now, after I assemble the top and the bottom to the side of the carcass, I need to install the other side. So I just turn the whole unit on its side on the bench. It just makes it easier to let gravity help me out here and just tap it in place. And the dominoes really help with the alignment, makes it a little bit easier. Then I could just put the screws in, and that's it. We have a tower. I just need to put some stretchers in the back. Now, I'm adding these stretchers or nailers in the back, and what these do is two things. One, they're going to keep the cabinet square and have the width be consistent all the way down to the bottom and give it strength. It's also going to give us something to attach it to the studs in the wall with, because we have to attach this to the wall so it doesn't tip over in the closet. Now we could start adding the adjustable shelves. I already put the pins in place, so now we could just start stacking them in there. You can see how much storage is going to be involved in this unit here. And the best part, there was no finish because the melamine's already finished. Now it's time for what I like to call mid-panel joinery. To save some material here on the base unit, it's going to have three separate sections. So instead of making three separate cabinets for the bottom and screwing them all together, I'm just making one unit, and I'm joining the panels in the center. And if you can see those shelf pin holes there on those mid panels, those are through holes. So you can use the shelf pins on both sides. You don't have to worry about not being able to put shelves in one side only. And you can see me using my MTR18 triangle here. This is one of the many uses for this tool. I love this tool. I do a lot with it. Don't forget, I'm going to have a link to all of these tools that I use in the description box below. So if you see anything here that you need, go ahead and check out the description box. Right now I'm using the domino. If you can see what I did here, I laid the panel down flat after marking everything where I needed it to be, and then I just plunged the domino into the bottom of the unit, and then I turn it on its side and plunge it into the bottom of the panel. That enables me to get an exact location to put the dominoes in the bottom panel and have the side panel stand straight up in there right on my marks. You can see right there, there's my separation panel for the middle. So I'm just going to continue to do this on the other side, and then I'm going to have three cubbies, and I'll be able to have shelves in those cubbies as well. So this is just the same from a different angle, so you can understand what I'm talking about. Flipping the panel down on your marks, and then just plunging down. And then you can see how the assembly goes together real smooth. Everything lines up perfectly. All you got to do is tap it in with a mallet, and then you can screw everything together after it's all assembled. This just makes it so much easier because you can line up the fronts and you don't have to worry about it squirming around, especially if you're using pocket screws on some of the parts here. I don't know if you're familiar with melamine at all, but even when you're using solid wood, when you use pocket screws, those things, they make the panels, they won't squirm around. So if you don't clamp it in place or have some dominoes or dowels to hold it, then it gets a little crazy and out of alignment. You can see here the benefits of finally having some room in my shop. Now I have an area where I can mock up the whole unit and see how it's going to sit in the closet. So basically just putting everything in position,
And those are the stretchers that's going to go on the back of the lower unit. It's going to get nailers also. You can not only keep it square and strong, but it also needs something to screw into the wall. And now I'm just going to put all the shelves in place, step back and just take a look at the unit and see how it looks sitting all together and how it's going to sit in the right side of the closet. Okay, so I put the units in place and it's very tight in this closet. So I got the camera basically in the corner of the room trying to get you on an angle, trying to get you the best view possible, and it's really tight in here. So I'm just, I got the units in place and I'm putting shims in the back of the nailers and I'm leveling and plumbing everything, and then I'm screwing it into the studs in the wall. And you can see here that I'm starting on the top. I got the top in place. Now I have the shims in the back and the bottom. I'm screwing the cabinets together. You can see the two units, the tall unit and the small unit. I have clamps there, squeezing those the faces of them together. And then I'm using cabinet screws, and that'll hold the boxes together. And then I'm going to affix the lower unit to the wall as well. Putting the shelves in, getting it all wrapped up on the bottom. Everything's, you know, checked for level and plumb. And now I'm going to install on the top, I'm installing a cleat. This is basically a cleat for two things. Number one, it's going to hold a top shelf, which is going to sit over the top of the tall unit across the cleat. And then I'm going to have another cleat on the right side. That's going to support the cleat in all directions. But it's also going to be a brace for the center support for the closet pole. So I'm going to install the shelf and screw it in from the top, and that's going to hide all the fasteners there. And then you can see the center support here for the shelf. Put that up, screw it in place. I made like a little T-brace over there that just gives you a little extra piece to screw into, because if you may not have a stud there, so you put something in the wall with an anchor, and you can screw it in place. Quick check of level for the closet pole, and everything looks good. Just finish screwing it in and we're done, at least with this side of the closet.
Okay, so here it is. I kept the door off, and basically everything is attached to all the studs in the walls. We have pole storage on the top and bottom of this side right here, so you have two rows of clothes. We have bottom shoe and boot storage, all adjustable shelves, and we have some more right in the center. I wasn't able to make it look aesthetically pleasing because the window is actually not centered in the closet. Kind of seems like with this house everything was an afterthought when they built it. I'm not sure there ever was a window there, and I'm not really sure about anything in here the way they built it. And we got some shoe storage up there. What I did here with this is I made the height of the towers on both sides the same height as the actual trim on the window. And move my hand there so we can focus better. So you can see that when I put the shelf on top, I got supports from both of the towers. It runs right over the top of the trim on the window, and that gives it extra support. And I put the support brackets there underneath, and the thing is rock solid. So you get more storage all the way around right there to that corner. I still have to touch up the ends of the pieces right there on the corners, but you can see there is a lot of shoe storage there. We got a clothes pole here. Underneath we have a shelf for folded storage, and then also more adjustable shoe cubbies on the bottom. And then we have a step stool because nobody can really reach that to get all the boxes in and out of there. I mean, I can do it, but my wife definitely can't, and so we need that step stool. But that's actually a good spot for it right there. So I just got to pop the door back on, paint the door, pop that back on, and there we go. We have a full built-in closet, and she's already warned me that because now she still has a lot of room there and still some room in some of the cubbies, she is going to be buying more shoes and boots. So, yep. Was it a mistake to build this out? Not sure. You decide. Alright guys, so if you're looking to transform your closet, this is the way to do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you guys click the links in the description for tools that I used to make this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. That'll notify you every time I upload a new video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me in the shop.